Questions. Let. About professional education. Part 13. Question number 1. Teddy throws a tantrum when he doesn't get candy, showing lack of emotional control. He is in what stage of Erikson's theory? Letter A. Initiative versus guilt. Letter B. Industry versus inferiority. Letter C. Trust versus mistrust. Letter D. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. The correct answer is letter D. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Teddy's tantrum when he doesn't get candy shows that he is still learning to control his emotions and assert his independence, which happens during this stage. It usually occurs between the ages of 1 to 3 years old or the toddler stage. At this stage, children often claim that they can do things on their own, showing their desire for independence. And when they are not allowed to make small choices or are punished harshly for mistakes, they may develop shame and doubt instead of confidence. Tantrums are normal signs that the child is still learning self-control and autonomy. Question number 2. The stages on the theory of Erikson's stage where adolescents try to discover who am I? Is letter A. Industry versus inferiority. Letter B. Identity versus role confusion. Letter C. Initiative versus guilt. Letter D. Intimacy versus isolation. The correct answer is letter B. Identity versus role confusion, where they try to establish a sense of personal identity through exploration, values, beliefs, goals and roles. From ages 12 to 18. An adolescent always asks questions like who am I and what do I want to become? A successful exploration of identity leads to strong sense of courage, purpose and direction in life. But failure leads to a role confusion, uncertainty about oneself and difficulty making decisions about future roles. Question number 3. Mrs. Mariano, at the age of 62, reflects on her life and says, I've made mistakes, but I did my best and made a difference. What is the likely result of this reflection? Letter A. Guilt. Letter B. Stagnation. Letter C. Integrity. Letter D. Role confusion. The correct answer is letter C. Integrity. Since Mrs. Mariano shows acceptance and satisfaction with her life despite the mistakes she has made in the past. She recognizes both her achievements and failures with contentment, believing that her life has been meaningful and worthwhile. If this stage, integrity, is successfully performed, it will lead to accepting one's life as both successes and mistakes and still finding a peace, satisfaction, and completeness. But failure to resolved, it will lead to despair, where a person looks back and feels regret, disappointment, or bitterness about their life. They may feel that it's too late to make changes or that life has lost its meaning. Question number 4. A 1-year-old baby stops crying when her mother returns and comforts her. Over time, she learns that her mother will always come back. Which stage does this describe? Letter A. Trust versus mistrust. Letter B. Initiative versus guilt. Letter C. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Letter D. Industry versus inferiority. The correct answer is letter A. Trust versus mistrust. When a baby stops crying as the mother picks her up and comforts her, the baby learns that she can rely on her mother for care and security. This consistent love and response help establish trust. When trust is successfully developed from birth to 1 year old, the child feels safe, secure, and loved, and begins to develop hope and confidence in others. However, if trust is not successfully developed, the child may experience mistrust. This can happen when caregivers are neglectful or inconsistent, causing the child to feel unsafe, anxious, or unloved. As a result, the child may develop fear and suspicion toward people and the world. This is the first stage of psychosocial of Erikson's theory. Question number 5. Carla, A 9-year-old student enjoys doing school projects and feels proud whenever her teacher praises her work. She becomes more confident and motivated to learn new things. Which stage of Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory does this situation describe? Letter A. Initiative versus guilt. Letter B. Industry versus inferiority. Letter C. Identity versus role confusion. Letter D. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. The correct answer is letter B. Industry versus inferiority. Since Carla, a 9-year-old student, enjoys and loves doing class projects, and when her teacher praises her effort, she gained a confident and motivated and feels excited to do more better. In this stage, the children are eager to learn, accomplish tasks, and receive recognition for their efforts. They become productive, capable, and confident. But when the child's efforts are ignored, criticized, or compared negatively to others, the child begins to feel inadequate or incapable, leading to low self-esteem and loss of motivation. Question number 6. Mr. Mendoza, a 45-year-old teacher, finds fulfillment in training new teachers and seeing them grow professionally. What virtue is she demonstrating? Letter A. Fidelity. Letter B. Wisdom. Letter C. Care. Letter D. Hope. The correct answer is letter C. Care. Mr. Mendoza shows care because he takes time to train new teachers, showing selflessness and a genuine desire to nurture others' success. He feels a deep sense of fulfillment in seeing others grow and achieve their potential. Mr. Mendoza's actions clearly showing generativity, in which he finds joy and meaning in caring for and guiding the next generation of teachers. Adults who achieve this generativity stage feel a sense of purpose and accomplishment because they contribute to society and future generations. While the stagnation may occur when adults become self-centered or feel that they are not contributing anything meaningful to the world, they may feel disconnected, unfulfilled, or purposeless. Question number 7. Kevin, 28 years old, avoids getting too close to others because he fears being hurt or rejected. He often focuses only on his career and prefers to stay alone rather than build deep relationships. Which stage of Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory does this situation best illustrate? Letter A. Identity versus role confusion. Letter B. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Letter C. Generativity versus stagnation. Letter D. Intimacy versus isolation. The correct answer is letter D. Intimacy versus isolation. Kevin's behavior shows signs of emotional withdrawal and fear of vulnerability. He avoids forming relationships and emotional closeness because he is afraid of getting hurt. To protect himself, he stays within his comfort zone and directs all his energy toward his career, using work as a way to avoid emotional risks and connections. Although he appears independent and self-sufficient, deep inside he feels lonely and disconnected from others. This pattern of emotional avoidance leads to isolation, where a person struggles to open up, form attachments, and build trust with others. While a successful intimacy leads to trust, emotional closeness, and openness to love, which is a foundation of a healthy and committed relationship. It also develops an individual's ability to build deep, trusting, and meaningful connections with others, whether it is romantic partnerships or close friendships.
Question number 8. Liam, a 4-year-old boy, loves pretending to cook and often asks to help his mother in the kitchen. However, his mother scolds him for making a mess and tells him not to touch anything. Over time, Liam stops offering to help and becomes quiet and hesitant to try new things. Which stage of Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory does this situation illustrate? Letter A. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Letter B. Initiative versus guilt. Letter C. Industry versus inferiority. Letter D. Trust versus mistrust. The correct answer is letter C. Initiative versus guilt. Guilt is the negative outcome of this stage, which causes Liam to become afraid to take initiative. His mother's scolding and discouragement make him fear that he will always get in trouble if he offers help or makes a mess. As a result, he begins to doubt his own ideas and avoids trying new things. This leads to guilt, where he feels bad for wanting to explore or do things independently. Over time, this can make a child less confident, less creative, and overly dependent on others for approval. However, if the positive outcome is achieved, initiative encourages the child to become more curious and eager to explore his environment. The child feels confident and capable, and this positive response helps him develop a strong sense of initiative, allowing him to take action, explore freely, and express his ideas with confidence. Question number 9. Ms. Ornelas is discussing a psychological theory that explains how people develop their personality and sense of identity through 8 stages, from infancy to old age. Each stage involves a specific conflict that must be resolved for healthy development. Which theorist introduced this idea? Letter A. Sigmund Freud. Letter B. Jean Piaget. Letter C. Erik Erikson. Letter D. B.F. Skinner. The correct answer is letter C. Erik Erikson developed the psychosocial theory of development, which describes 8 stages that individuals go through across their lifespan. Each stage involves a psychosocial conflict that shapes personality and social relationships. Question number 10. In which stage of Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory does a child begin to ask, "Can I do things by myself?" Letter A. Trust versus mistrust. Letter B. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Letter C. Initiative versus guilt. Letter D. Industry versus inferiority. The correct answer is letter B. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. When a child in this stage or ages 1 to 3 years old, they focuses on developing independence and self-control. When encouraged, children gain confidence in doing things alone. When criticized, they may feel shame and doubt about their abilities. Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory. First is trust versus mistrust from birth. 1 year old. A baby can question, "Can I trust the world?" Because when caregivers provide consistent love and care, the child develops trust and gains hope in people in the world. But if neglected or mistreated, the child develops mistrust, feeling insecure and fearful of others. Second, the autonomy versus shame and doubt. From age 1 to 3 years. A toddler can ask, "Can I do things by myself?" When they encourage to explore and do things independently, the toddler may develop autonomy and the virtue of will. But when criticized or overly controlled, the child feels shame and doubt about their abilities. Third is initiative versus guilt. From age 3 to 5 years old. A preschooler can ask, "Am I good at taking initiative?" When a child is supported in trying new things and expressing creativity, they develop initiative and purpose. But when their efforts are punished or discouraged, they experience guilt and become hesitant to take action. Fourth is the industry versus inferiority. From 6 to 12 years. A school age may question, "Am I capable and competent?" When children's hard work and accomplishments are recognized, they develop industry and competence. But when criticized or made to feel inadequate, they develop inferiority and a lack of confidence. Fifth is the identity versus role confusion. From 12 to 18 years. An adolescent may question, "Who am I?" When adolescents are allowed to explore values, beliefs, and roles, they form a strong identity and gain fidelity. But if they are restricted or lack direction, they experience role confusion and uncertainty about themselves. Sixth is the intimacy versus isolation. From ages 18 to 40 years. A young adulthood may question, "Can I love and be loved?" When young adults build deep, trusting relationships, they achieve intimacy and the virtue of love. But fear of vulnerability or rejection can lead to isolation and emotional loneliness. Seventh is generativity versus stagnation. From ages 40 to 65 years old. A middle adulthood can ask a question like, "Can I contribute to the world?" When adults nurture others and contribute to society, they develop generativity and care. But when they feel unproductive or self-absorbed, they experience stagnation and a sense of emptiness. 8 is the integrity versus despair. From ages 65 years and above. A late adulthood may ask question, "Did I live a meaningful life?" When older adults reflect with acceptance and pride, they develop integrity and wisdom. But if they feel regret or dissatisfaction, they fall into despair, feeling that life was wasted.